In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how you compare fractions. Now we're going to be comparing fractions and figuring out which fractions are greater than, less than, or if the fractions are equal to each other. Now, these are going to be some tips that will help you compare fractions in a snap. And what I want you to do is take out your notes. And I want you to write this down, these tips I'm giving you down in your notes. Okay, so first of all, tip number one, if the denominators are the same, now remember the denominators are the number on the bottom of the fraction. Okay, the 8 would be my denominator. If the denominators are the same, the fraction with the larger number will be greater. Okay, so for example, think about a pizza that's divided up into 8 pieces. Okay, if I eat 3 of those pieces and my friend eats 5 of these pieces, obviously eating 5/8 of the pizza would be greater than eating 3/8 of the pizza. So if the denominators are the same, the fraction with the larger numerator will be greater. So that's tip number one. Another tip, if the numerators are the same, okay, the fraction with the smaller denominator is greater. Okay, so numerators are the same, 5 and 5. However, we have a 12 for the denominator, 8 for the denominator, so the fraction with the smaller denominator is greater. So think about it. If I have a pizza, let's say I order a large pizza from Pizza Hut, and one of my pizzas is cut up into 12 pieces, one is cut up into 8 pieces. Obviously the pizza that's cut up into 8 pieces, okay, will be greater. Each piece will be greater, so 5/8 is greater than 5/12. Now there is one more way to compare fractions, okay, and we're going to call it the superhero crisscross. And what the superhero crisscross is you multiply by the opposite number. Okay, so what we would do, we would take our 1 and we would multiply that 1 by 10. We would take that 3 and multiply that 3 times 18. Okay, so we would multiply everything here. And then this way, and then whichever number is the greater number after you cross multiply will be the greater fraction. Okay, so we could see that 18, we had 18, we multiplied 6 times 3, we had 10, we multiplied 1 times 10. So since 18 was greater, that means 6/10 is greater than 1/3. Now what we're going to do is take a look at a couple of these problems, and we'll do some of these problems together. Okay, so just follow along as I do these first couple, and then we'll do some together here. So I have 2/3 and 2/8. Now if I remember one of my key tips, if the numerators are the same, the fraction with the smaller denominator will be the greater fraction. Okay, so think about a pizza being cut up into 2/3, in 3 pieces or in 8 pieces. Obviously the pizza cut up into 3 pieces would have larger pieces. Okay, so 2/3 here would be greater than 2/8. Now remember your greater than sign, the alligator's mouth, think about it that way, is always open up towards the greater number, or the greater fraction in this case. Now we have 9/12 and 3/4. Okay, now I remember that 9/12 greatest common factor, or if I remember how to simplify, I know that 9/12 can go right into my 3/4, but let's say we don't necessarily know that. So what we can do is our superhero crisscross. We can do 9 times 4, that's going to give me 36. 12 and 3 gives me 36. Now since I have numbers that are equal, that means my fraction is equal. 9/12 is equal to 3/4. Okay, let's do these next two problems together. We have 7/12 and 5/12. Now if you remember one of our tips, if the denominators are equal, that means the fraction with the greater numerator will be the greater fraction. Okay, so we have 7/12 is greater than 5/12. Just think about a pizza. If I have a pizza cut up into 12 pieces, I eat 7 pieces, and my friend eats 5 pieces, I could definitely see, or definitely realize, that I've eaten a greater amount of pizza. Okay, let's write down this next one, 1/6 compared to 1/8. Okay, we have the numerators are the same, they're equal. So that means the fraction with the denominator that's less, okay, is going to be the greater fraction. Okay, so 1/6 is greater than 1/8. We're going to do one more problem together. Okay, we have 5/12 and 1/2. We can see numerator or denominator are not equal at all, so we're going to do our superhero crisscross. 5 times 2 is going to give me 10. 1 times 12 is going to give me 12. So the fraction that has the greater number above it after you do the crisscross will be the greater fraction. So we can see that 1/2 is greater, 5/12 is less than 1/2. Okay, now what I want you to do are these next three problems in your math journal. When you press play, I will have the answers for you. So pause the video now. Okay, now I have the answers for you. First of all, 2/3 we can see is greater than 1/6. I did my superhero crisscross. 2 times 6 gives me 12. 3 times 1 gives me 3. We have a 12 above this fraction, 3 above that fraction, so we can say that 2/3 is greater than 1/6. Next one, that both numerators are equal, so that means the fraction with the lower denominator will be the greater fraction. So 7/12 is less than 7/10. Then finally, 3/4 and 6/8. We did our superhero crisscross. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 6 is 24. Both numbers are equal, so that means our fractions are equal. Okay, so this is how you compare fractions. If you have any questions about this concept, please come and see me.